Once upon a time there was a beautiful village nestled in a sunny valley. The villagers were simple folk who lived peaceful lives tending their gardens, caring for their animals, and trading goods with traveling merchants. At the edge of the village stood a tall stone wall that enclosed the royal zoo and gardens. The zoo was home to fantastic creatures from all over the kingdom, including a family of 3 dragons, a mother, father, and baby dragon. The dragons were gentle by nature but very large, each over 20 feet tall. They spent their days happily lounging in the sun, bathing in the zoo's ponds, and showing off for visitors by breathing small puffs of smoke. At night they slept soundly in their stone den, full from eating wheelbarrows of cow legs and sides of boar prepared by the zookeepers. The mother dragon was a beautiful emerald green, the father dragon shimmered sapphire blue, and the baby dragon glittered like a ruby red gem. One sunny morning, the zookeeper arrived to find the enormous iron padlock on the dragon enclosure had been melted clean off. The gate creaked open eerily in the wind. As the zookeeper cautiously peeked inside, he saw to his horror the enclosure was totally empty. All 3 dragons had escaped. Panicked, the zookeeper ran to the village to raise the alarm. "The dragons have escaped the zoo," he shouted breathlessly to the villagers. They stopped in terror and alarm spread quickly from house to house. Mothers grabbed their children, merchants hurriedly packed up their wagons, and the village chief rang the warning bell, signaling for everyone to evacuate to the emergency caves in the mountains. As the villagers streamed out of their houses they heard a terrible roar shake the sky. The father dragon swooped low over the village square, flapping his massive wings. He opened his sharp-toothed mouth and unleashed a jet of fire that engulfed the thatched roof of the town hall in seconds. The mother dragon was not far behind, circling hungrily and breathing fire onto the village storehouses, setting them ablaze in billowing flames and thick black smoke. The frightened villagers ran desperately to get away from the burning village. The dragon seemed to take savage delight in destroying the once peaceful village, burning everything in sight with great sweeping breaths of red-hot flame while the villagers scrambled to get their children and livestock to safety. Lingering behind his parents, the baby ruby dragon spotted the village sheep pen and dove gleefully toward it. The dragon had never seen a sheep before. "I want to play," he roared. But the tiny sheep scurried away in all directions, bleating in terror at the sight of the gigantic red dragon. "Come back. I promise I won't hurt you," cried the young dragon. But the more he flapped his wings and tried to pursue them, the more the sheep panicked. All they could see was a fire-breathing monster. At the cave shelter in the mountains, the village chief did a head count. Nearly all had safely evacuated, except for one person still unaccounted for. "Has anyone seen the shepherd boy, Timothy?" he asked worriedly. Then came shouts from the back of the cave, "Look!" The villagers turned and to their dismay saw young Timothy, who had been tending his flock in the far meadows, sprinting desperately into the cave with a large canvas under one arm. He was wheezing and out of breath. "Sir, I saw a knight, on the north road, riding this way, toward the village," Timothy finally gasped out. "A knight," said the village chief in surprise. Who could this mysterious knight be, and what help could he offer against the rampaging dragons? Sir Edgar woke that morning feeling ready for adventure. He was a brave and noble knight renowned across the kingdom for his courage, strength, and service defending the royal realm from all manner of unholy beasts. Sir Edgar never traveled anywhere without his suit of steel plate armor, his mighty shield emblazoned with the royal crest, his formidable broadsword, and his sturdy and loyal steed, a massive black warhorse named Thunder. Today, Sir Edgar was journeying to a tournament at the royal castle. As a guest of the king, he looked forward to several days of feasting, archery contests, and friendly duels in the arena. Sir Edgar rode leisurely along the forest road, admiring the green countryside and whistling a merry tune. Suddenly the trees shook with a distant but unmistakable roar. Sir Edgar immediately seized his sword hilt and sat tall in the saddle, his senses on high alert. Another roar split the air, followed by faint sounds of shouting and screaming. There was no time to lose. With a shout and a kick to the sides of his mighty steed, Sir Edgar charged toward the growing plumes of smoke through the valley toward the village. As the village came into view, Sir Edgar was met with a horrifying sight. Half the thatched cottages were engulfed in flames licking 20 feet into the sky. Desperate villagers were fleeing every which way into the hills, and circling above it all were the unmistakable silhouettes of dragons. Sir Edgar knew exactly what must be done. Unsheathing his broadsword, he held it aloft so it glinted in the sun and rode directly at the rampaging dragons, yelling courageous challenges for battle. The father dragon spotted the approaching knight first. Who was this tiny man in flashing metal armor who dared challenge him? He roared in fury and made straight for Sir Edgar, lethal claws extended and fangs bared, ready to burn this insolent knight to a crisp. But Sir Edgar held no fear in his heart, only focused determination. As the dragon dove at him, Sir Edgar stood tall in his stirrups and swung his mighty broadsword with all his strength. The blade sliced across the dragon's face, cutting deep into his eye. The dragon reeled back in pain, dark blood streaming down his emerald scales. "Curse you, knight," the dragon bellowed in agony and rage. "I shall destroy you for that." Before the father dragon could unleash his fiery fury, Sir Edgar wheeled his steed around and galloped off into the besieged village with the furious green dragon pursuing close behind. Sir Edgar knew the winding village streets and dense buildings would hinder the dragon's flying ability. As the green dragon struggled to maneuver between buildings, Sir Edgar led him on a wild chase, his horse's hooves pounding the dirt at full gallop. At every turn, Sir Edgar struck out with his sword at the dragon, each blow denting and chipping the hard emerald scales. The mighty dragon snapped and flamed in frustration, shattering wagons and setting structures ablaze, but his bulky body couldn't keep up with the nimble knight on horseback. Sir Edgar led the snarling dragon back toward the village square. There he suddenly reared his steed to a stop and turned to make a stand with raised shield and sword. The lumbering green dragon beat his torn wings to land heavily in the village square across from the dismounted knight. He unleashed a jet of flame, but Sir Edgar deftly rolled out of the way behind the burning remains of the old wooden well. "Your flames do not frighten me, beast," yelled Sir Edgar. "For the people of this village, I shall end your tyranny once and for all." With a blood-curdling roar, the mighty emerald dragon charged, snapping and clawing furiously at Sir Edgar. The brave knight met him head-on, dodging flames and delivering powerful two-handed blows with his sword. Sparks flew as sword struck scales again and again. But the dragon had centuries of experience over the mortal knight. With a mighty heave, he caught Sir Edgar off guard and flung him crashing through the blazing wall of the bakery. Sir Edgar's armor bent and cracked on impact. He struggled to stand and catch his breath, surrounded by smoldering ruins. The dragon seized his chance. He lunged and pinned Sir Edgar down with his massive claws, snapping and biting at the knight. Sir Edgar knew this was his moment of truth, to lay down his life defending the people as a true knight should. Just as the dragon reared back to deliver the fatal strike, a startling roar rang out from above. "Father, stop!" The ruby baby dragon swooped out of nowhere and slammed into the green dragon, knocking him aside just in time. The baby dragon quickly shielded the injured Sir Edgar with his body and spread his wings defiantly at his father. "Get back, boy," snarled the father dragon. "This knight dies today." "No," cried the young dragon. "Look at all the destruction our fire has caused. The humans were right to fear us. But this brave knight risked his life to stop us. We must leave in peace." The father dragon paused, considering his son's words. He looked around at the smoldering remains of the beloved village. The fight left his clouded emerald eyes. "You speak wisely, my son," the father dragon rumbled. "Our time here is done." The two great dragons turned and took to the sky in a rush of wings, leaving the ruined village behind. From the cave shelter, the villagers watched in awe as the dragons disappeared into the distance and brave Sir Edgar limped from the ruins alive. When he was nursed back to health, the village held a great feast in honor of Sir Edgar's heroism against the dragons. Songs were sung praising his deed for ages to come. And the village was never troubled by dragons again, for Sir Edgar had taught them to live in peace with man. The noble knight stayed on to assist with rebuilding, defending the realm with courage and wisdom just as great knights of legend did in days of old.